Hi ladies and gentlemen, today is September 7th, 2015, and I wasn't going to comment on this, but I've allowed myself to get drawn into it anyway for a number of reasons. And it's about this entire marriage license issue that's going on. Now, up front, this is what I want to say about the Christian thing. There's no doubt, I've been talking about it for a long time, that the government, our institutions, our political correctness, everything that's happening is attacking Christians. We're allowing Christians to be slaughtered. Our government is allowing, even assisting, arming the rebels, arming Al-Qaeda, ISIL, giving them money, giving them training, and they're killing Christians in the Middle East. And we're actually now, and we have been for a long time, starting to attack Christian values here in the United States. You can't hold government office, as we're seeing this thing happen in Kentucky, if you refuse to not do something against your conscience. And I laud people standing up for their faith, their beliefs. But you know, and I'm just going to go right here. You Christians, and that includes myself, because that's what I am as well, you've been deluded. Now you're deluded to the point where you don't even understand what a license is. Let me go back about the history of marriage, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. Marriage was between a man and a woman and God. Sometimes in history it was a public event, meaning between the families. Sometimes the church or the spiritual leader was involved, but it was primarily a family issue. It didn't become a state licensed, controlled relationship until about 100 and something years ago. Well, almost 200 years ago now. And it didn't become a license issue until the miscegenation laws after the Civil War. Now, I want to ask you a question, Christians. The real issue here isn't whether the homosexual should be able to get a marriage license or not, because the miscegenation laws, in other words, interracial marriage, needed a license prior to people in the same race needing a license. So and then the next question is, why are we even asking for licenses for marriage? A license is something that would be illegal otherwise. Is the state a god that we have to ask permission to do what God has given us the right to accomplish? And if you don't agree with, gee, men and women can't make that decision themselves, they got to be controlled, fine, that's a family issue, and then they can have a public celebration of it like they did before. Ladies and gentlemen, Christians, you've all been co-opted, you've all been deceived. Now we're refusing to administer a license to something that should be illegal. and we're granting licenses, in other words, saying that it would be illegal otherwise, to something that is a God-given right. Now, I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but I needed to bring that up. We are so deceived that you think that you need a license from the state to engage in, first of all, what is spiritually your right to do from God. Secondly, the Constitution says the contracts entered into by individuals are not the purview of the government, which would include marriage. And then you come down to the 10th Amendment, says all powers that haven't been granted to the federal government are retained to the states or to the people. And marriage should have always remained with the people. The state should never have gotten involved in it either. So I just wanted to point out how far down this rabbit hole of deception we have gone. What you county clerks should be refusing to do is give marriage licenses to heterosexual couples who have a God-given right, because they don't need a license for that type of a relationship. If they want to have a legal agreement, let them go to court and make a legal agreement. But to ask for a license is a slap in the face of the power of God. I laud the people who are standing up against the government on the principle that gay marriage isn't marriage. I understand that. But you lost this argument a long time ago when you gave up the God-given right that you have to associate with any person, and I'm talking in marriage, that you want to make a relationship with, want to make a covenant with. When you gave up that right and said that the state can license it, you gave power to government as if it were God. Again, the correct thing would have done, marriage is not something that should be licensed by the state. It is a God-given right. That's where this argument should have begun a long time ago. So you've been deceived. I don't know if you get it. I don't know if you get it. One more time. A license is something that's issued so that somebody can do what would normally be illegal. Marriage is a God-given right that was governed by families only, not by governments. To say that a marriage has to be licensed is giving more power to the state than it is to the families and it is to God. What you should have done a long time ago is said, what do you mean get a marriage license from the state? No, we're not going to make the people want to be married get marriage licenses. We're not going to do that. That was where the real fight was, ladies and gentlemen. But Christians are going to be attacked in every way, shape, and form. But you have allowed yourselves to go down this wrong path to begin with. And now you're fighting over things that were lost long ago. We got to get back to stop thinking that everything has to be regulated, that everything has to be controlled. And the number one thing where we need to get out of people's lives is marriage. The state has no business in it at all.